Welcome back. This is Newsfile, it's your most authoritative news analysis show. I'm Samson Ladi, Anyanini, your host, and my guest this morning, Abdul Malik Kubako, editor-in-chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper. He's a regular panelist. Also, here in the studio, excited to host there, Mona Kote, former Deputy Minister of Finance and Managing Partner, BVM Advisory Services. Also in the studio is Mustafa Abdul Hamid, Minister for Information and Presidential Spokesperson, the part that's often not highlighted. It gets you to forget that he doubles as a spokesperson for the President as well. We should be joined shortly by Inusa Fuseni, who is MP, Tamale Central, and Ranking Member, Legal, Constitutional and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of Parliament. Now, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to Newsfile.
Thank you. Good morning.
Great. Good to have you. Now, we said that we'll do a bit, just briefly, about 2 minutes of your comments about the fact that if you go to the Birth and Deaths Registry today, you will not be able to register your son like the way I have done. Nabia is my first son's first name. Nabia means prince. You will not be able to do that. We'll go there to find out if you are, why you can't do that, why you can't name your child Na, why you can't name your child Mame or Hima or Ni and or Tumfo and the rest of them. We'll check about that. But before we do that, Mustafa, obviously we can't start without asking you this question, and we are privileged you're here. We know that the Speaker of Parliament once again is going to be sworn in as acting president. And guys, check, it's acting president, not president. The Constitution says acting president, it's not president. And we know the reason is that the president is traveling, the vice president is not available, but the talk is that you guys need to come clear on the health status of Dr. Bawumia, the vice president. What's going on?
Well, the clarity is that the vice president is very well. You heard Abdul Malik saying that when he came in, he didn't want to disrupt me because I was on the phone. Actually, I was on the phone with the second lady and the vice president just before I entered here, because I wanted to make sure, because somehow or rather, I thought that the question would come up, because these days on any forum that I appear, I'm asked how the vice president. So I made sure to try and speak with them before I get in here, because I had been calling since I left home, but she wasn't picking. And then she explained to me that at that time, I mean, they were still resting. But I got to speak to the both of them. He's very well. And inshallah, like we say, very shortly, he'll be back home to resume his duties.
Thank you very much. And if you have followed Gabi Asare Chirodako, he actually went to London, and he says that he went to where Dr. Bawumia is apparently not in the hospital presently or so. And then they had a chat. And actually, he made a mistake by talking about his football club, and that generated a discussion he felt he shouldn't have brought it up at all. Okay, so let's start on this note. Occupy Ghana has assisted us by doing all the research for us. And the research they have done, the law governing the Birth and Deaths Registry, all the laws governing their operations, and other laws of the country, they can't find where there ought to be a prohibition for the registration of one's child. A name that's like Nana, you know, like I said, Naba, or those sort of names. And even if you're registering indigenous names with English names, you would be told how to arrange them. You cannot decide that.
Well, first of all, it is good that the lawyers in Occupy Ghana have spoken law. But my own common sense approach to the matter is that, is it because they know Ni and Nana and the rest?
Let me say welcome to Inusa Fuseni. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
If I come and I say that my son's name is Rais Abdul Hamid, if I name, and I know many Muslim children who name their children Rais, you know the meaning of Rais?
No.
Rais means head, leader, president. So, but they register them because they don't understand Arabic.
Okay.
Amir is a name, is an Islamic name. Amir means leader. Females are called Amira, and etc., etc. Even Abdul Hamid. servant of Hamid. The Abdul is servant. So it's basically like, it can be equated to the title matter there, because that's not the real name. You are servant of somebody. But they register all of these matters. So, and even there's a name like Hamamat. You know the meaning of Hamamat?
Yes, Hamamat, I've heard that.
It means dove.
Really?
Bird. Yeah.
Okay.
They register that. So I don't think that they should go into what my brother calls a realm of absurdity. because they know Ni and they know Nana. They don't know the Hindu, Urdu equivalents of Ni and Nana. And if somebody came to register an Urdu name and you didn't understand Urdu, how are you going to be? And it will be unjust to register
People
an
are
Urdu.
because they will register Prince.
Exactly. Even in the English
they
one,
register Duke.
they register Duke and they register Prince, but they don't register Nana. So in my own commonsensical understanding, I think that it's absurd.
The call really is the Occupy Ghana is written to the government through the Attorney General asking that you direct them to do the right thing or they'll sue. And you know they are good at that.
I think it's the right thing to do, because people have people ought to assert their rights in this country, and I think that is correct. I side with the Occupy Ghana position.
Okay. Madam Monakote, what do you say about this? And there was a woman who was telling her story on the Super Morning Show yesterday. It was sad that she wanted to register her daughter, right? And she was disallowed. Really? She persisted, and they kept telling her that you can't give that name. Is it Ohima or was it Nana that she wanted to use? And they just frustrated her. She wasn't happy about it.
Something, it's a pity that this has come up. One would have thought that as a people and as a nation, we've come so far that some of these things really are trivial, and that we should just do what is right in the context. As has already been found out, there's no real section in any of the laws that govern how you name your child. But we do have custom and tradition. And in this country, many times when we want to name a child after our mother or our father, because we don't want to refer to them by our father's name. So let's say my father's name is Kate. When I have a son and I name him Kate, it would be odd for me to be calling him Kate. Odd meaning that uncomfortable.
Right.
Therefore, I would call him Ni or Pani if it's after even my grandfather or my dad. So this is why many times we start with the title for some of our names, our Ghanaian names. Now, birth and registry is, excuse me to say, behaving as if they are from another planet or from another country where this is not known. This is our custom and tradition. We give titles that give reverence and respect to the child. So my daughter is named after her father's mother. I call her Nana. I registered her as Nana Equia Efriye. There was no way I could have registered her name as Equia Efriye. Okay. You know, it would have been disrespectful. Now, when the titles become an issue, these are not titles as in professor, doctor, engineer, which sometimes, you know, is ridiculous. And I hope that nobody's trying to register their child's name as Dr. Nkrumah or engineer, so. But that these titles give reverence and respect to a name. So I do feel sorry for the lady who wanted to give her own name. After all, it is her freedom. It is her liberty. She's at liberty to choose how she puts that name. If, for example, there is a name that does not make sense at all, let us say, surely the registrar can have a conversation with the client, because birth and registry must remember that they're offering a service. There must be customer service. You can have a conversation and understand why it is so. But to come out with a blanket law or policy, at this point, I don't even think is a law, that says don't use any of these titles, I don't think is right. And I think that is the consensus across the country. Most people don't like this, except for perhaps those who work there. And I have a feeling it may be something to do with perhaps their computer or their IT that has problem with maybe fields and where to put some of these names. But honestly, Nana, Ohima, Ni, and all those names have become proper names for Ghanaians, and it must be used as such.
Right.
Thank you.
Let's ask the lawyer whether you think that, and you are also a lawmaker, that what they are doing, which sounds like policy they are introducing, we do not know where the policy comes from because we haven't seen one. Are they not seeking to introduce some discipline in the manner in which we name our children?
What discipline? Good morning, sir.
Yes, because it says we're registering titles. So, someone will want to register or charge for, you know. Justice is a word, but it's also used for judges. People are called justice. You know.
Hey,
they're naming people junior.
Yes.
They don't like that.
No, I don't think they have any business not liking the name. I don't think they have any business not liking the name. And when I read John Agbeko's statement, I said, what? Why are you assuming an authority you don't have? They don't simply have that authority. Like Mona said, they are supposed to render a service, and the service is simply registering the name. Now, it's common knowledge that Ghanaians in humanity or human existence, people don't normally give bad names to their children. And so you want your child to grow beyond you. And so you give him or her a name that clearly will inspire him to grow beyond you. And so that's how human progress is recorded. That everybody thinks that the next generation must achieve more than we have achieved. And so, Agweko, birth and deaths, you have no authority until the law is changed to determine which names to register and not to register. The matter that Agweko spoke about, and he used similar words, I was disgusted. He said, if we allow ourselves as a nation to give names the way we want because it is us who have got the child and we will want to name the child the way we want, there will come a time that we will have wonderful names in Ghana. And so, it's just a control measure. And who has given you the authority to control naming? To make sure that there are moderating factors on us, citizens, to direct how naming should go. So you see, clearly, if this is the rationale,
maybe he's drawing inspiration from your company's law, which says that you don't register two companies with the same name, and if the name that you are bringing to register the company is confusing, you know, it will not be admitted.
He's not saying that it's confusing. And I have Inus of saying. In fact, there's a friend who is following me on Instagram. He's Inus of saying. I've never complained that
I'm sure you find many.
Yes, I've never complained that.
In Ghana,
Abdul Hamid, when you use Abdul Hamid, indeed, my son is Abdul Hamid.
Okay.
Like you people put out the card with Hamid 118 and said that.
I thought that was yours. No, I thought that was yours. Because you are the most prominent of the Abdul Hamid.
I didn't know you know there are other Hamids in Ghana.
No, I really didn't know that. You see, you are the most prominent Hamid.
Right.
So, number one Hamid. So, now, so you see, so I think that they simply don't have the authority. I think this should be within a cultural setting. I think it should be led by our chiefs. Like the Neveropio said in the Upper East region, where you find names like Kofi, Kweku, and others in the Upper East region. He exalted them to try to give names, local names, to their children. That is how it should be done. If you want us to come back, I have never fancied my Inus of Hussein, actually. So what was my name? Inus of Hussein is a corruption of an Arab name, Hussein and Yunus. So what was my name? What has been my name? Okay, so does it mean that, and anytime I go to the Arab world, I have difficulty. I have great difficulty. First of all, they ask me, what is Inus of Hussein? They make mockery of the name because they think it sounds Arabic, but this is not Arabic. I say, oh, that's Yunus Hussein. So, okay, can you speak Arabic? Then that's the next question. So, yes, so I think that, and there are many such names that we ought to register, and they should continue to register them.
I hear you. Yes, Kweku, in fact, the matter got to Parliament, and the Speaker sought to summon the minister responsible for that department, as in Alima Mahama, yes, to come and to explain what is going on. Particularly, I think he was really vexed about they determining the arrangement. If you had an English name, if you wanted to start with an English name, with an indigenous name, and have an English name in the middle, they don't accept it. It must start with the English name. He didn't like that at all.
Well. A lot has been said already. But perhaps we need to remind the gentleman or the head of that institution. Can I say he's a public servant or he's a civil servant?
Yes, he
This is, yes.
Yes, we pay public servants to think and to act in accordance with the law. We pay people to think. It reminds me of my good friend, Dr. Kumbo. I heard him say that in this country, we pay people to talk and not to think. That's all I will say. They should send this message to the gentleman, that we pay public servants to think and to act in accordance with law. No further comment.
There must be too many nanes, too many knees.
There are many John Mensons. Have we stopped registering
when
John
I was in
Menson?
school, I think in Legon, Mohammed, when our lists were put up for something, you will see many Mohammeds. You know, they are seeking to introduce discipline.
Oh, so don't register Mohammed.
So Mohammed,
Don't register.
No, so that at least you know you trim it down.
please.
That's it.
Okay.